first online purchase, if you watch Derek Fisher's channel, Psycha Derek, he showed this recently. I kind of tipped him off to it. I was reading the Acid Archives and came across this record. Found it on eBay. The album is by a gentleman named Dave Bryan. The album is called Synthesis. Derek, if you watched his video, had a bad gash through his, like where he had cut through the packaging and cut through the record, and then was kind of a jerk about it online. And I've heard some horror stories since then about other people's packaging from him being kind of wonky. I got lucky and it arrived safe and sound and nicely packaged. So buyer beware a little bit on that one, but it is a way to get this album fairly cheap in comparison to the Discogs.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psycha Derek here. Acid Archive Diaries number 34. Or should I say, Acid Archive Nightmare. Yeah, we'll roll with that. And I say that because this has an interesting backstory to it on how I acquired this record. Through a well-renowned VC member, got the tip from Matt Sands back in like 2019, about 5 or 6 years ago now. And it's not so much his fault that he tipped me off to this, but it's more to blame on the seller or the artist himself, herself. We're going to talk about that. And we've got some photo evidence, we have some emails, we got some of the proof to show within this video, and some of the stuff that I remember from back in that time, the traumatization of it all. And what are we talking about today? Well, we'll talk about the music too, but we're talking about Dave Bryan's Synthesis from 1978. Anybody remember that cover? Anybody have PTSD from seeing this? Or maybe the back cover? Oh boy. There's the crime scene evidence right there. I'm being a little silly, but I'm just having fun with it. It's more funny now than when I first acquired this. So let's back up a little bit. So I got the tip out of the blue from Matt Sands about this record back in the day and had never heard of it before, and it was like 20 bucks. I guess he had been relisting original copies of this on eBay. After someone would purchase it, he'd relist it, same default stock photo, and I thought, what the hell, I'll take a chance on, I think it was like under 20 bucks, like 15 bucks or something, still sealed, supposedly from the artist himself, which is still a debate, but the more I look at it, it possibly may be, I don't know. But from what I recall though, I received the package, everything went well. I got the package and I looked at it and I thought, well, this kind of looks odd. It looks like it was actually cut into because, well, like a piece of the cardboard itself had been cut into, but then it got reattached, taped over with a new address or a printing sheet. I still wish I had a photo of it. Couldn't find it when I posted it back in the day. Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange. And then I open it up and I see these couple gashes, like they had slit through both sides of the cardboard. And it's kind of funny looking at it now that it's at a slant, because obviously it's got to fit in the cardboard one way, right? I wish I could remember how it looked like to me, but it had to have been somewhat deliberate. And I'm like, well, why would he cut out a piece of the cardboard and attach a new address on top of it? It just didn't add up. So I don't know what that's about to this day. If it was part of a bundle, the guy apparently that messaged me back because I reported it as damaged and showed the photo evidence. He claimed that it was a part of a bundle and that USPS, might have slit through it or something and reattached it. I mean, if so, I don't really know, but that seems like an odd thing to do. But yeah, there's other fishy stories out there as far as, I'm not the only victim. Thankfully, Matt's package sounds like it turned out really well. His got signed as well by the supposed Dave Bryan, but his has the date 2019 on his copy, looking back on his old video when he shared it. But then once I posted this, throughout some Facebook groups back in the day, some other people that had bought copies from him had similar issues and even more bizarre occurrences where he had stapled through the cardboard box and it actually damaged some of the spine. And I'll show some photos. I got this one from Hank Webb is his name. been Facebook friends with him a long time, big time collector. And then there's other people that have had strange occurrences when they purchase this copy from him on eBay. I remember seeing some photos, I'll share them as well, where I guess one package was wrapped around with twine and it kind of gave the record a bad dish warp, which mine slightly has, but it plays still fairly well. And then someone from overseas was saying how he must have accidentally slipped in 2 copies when he only purchased 1. So I don't know if this guy is off his rocker or if he's just kind of, took too much. Maybe he's an Acid Archive casualty. That's what's going on here. I don't know if it's the artist or not, so I'm not going to say indefinitely, but it certainly is suspect. And I don't remember it being his name when he shipped this out. Otherwise, I would be 100% sure. That would have stuck with me. But I can even share some of the back and forth that we had. I think I shared one of them, or I found one of them when I look back on this. And then eventually started doing the name calling thing when it's like, okay, I just accepted your copy when he was offering to send another one, I think. But I was like, the damage is already done. I'm not going to take another gamble. It's not really worth it. When it's like, okay, my guy, this has gone far enough. I'm done with you. So yeah, and then once that stopped happening, I was kind of just watching, seeing what was happening, the items he was selling, and apparently he started posing in women's clothing, kind of doing some Buffalo Bill kind of shit. And then just some of the stuff I would see in the background when he would take these photos, it's like someone was photographing it for him with him posing in, like, I don't know, some leggings he was selling, but they were women's leggings and it was like a side view. I was like, what is going on here? So whoever's selling, even if it's not the artist, if they just acquire these stock copies, because I think it came from Virginia or North Carolina around there, whoever's selling these items needs to learn how to mail some parcels, take better photographs, because if it is the artist, I mean, your music's awesome, but you need to learn how to pack records, especially if you've worked at USPS. That's all I'm saying. If you're stapling packages together, I mean, we've all heard the pizza box story, but thankfully, I haven't had too many vinyl horror stories as bad as this one. It was a long time ago. It's in the past. I'm trying to forget about it. Anyways, it was a sealed copy, though. So it did come with the insert of sort of a 3-panel photograph of the front image, which I do like quite a bit. Also a lyric insert. And let's talk about it a little bit. So I hadn't listened to this one in a long time, partially because of the damage. I always think about it and I'm like, I'm not going to play it. And I'll show the damage here on the record itself, as you can see. Got some nice little marks on there. And it does need a little cleaned up, doesn't it? But I just played this recently and, there is some clicking rotations on a few tracks, unfortunately, but it's not like super noticeable or super irritating. It's especially on the first track, though, is where it's really evident, and it's a good track too. Unfortunately, the damage is done, but overall, I'm still keeping this. I still do really like what's happening here. So 1978, you still got a very kind of warmth production. It's the disco era. A lot of phase pedal heavy guitar on here, all throughout. You got a lot of that kind of warm, saturated kind of 70s rock kind of tunes with, of course, that phase pedal. And when I bring that up, I always think of that Spirit record, that Spirit of 76, which I think it was definitely influenced by. And a little bit of, that sort of soft rock, yacht rock kind of thing happening at this time. So he's just using a overabundance of that production style. But there's also some like acoustic folkier cuts, which also do have some phase pedal as well. 3 other cast members on here outside of Dave here. You got Don Nichols on percussion, Greg Buckley on Hammond organ, Moog, and ARP synthesizers, which really do stick out. Kind of reminds me of these Trails a little bit. Then you got Mimi Rossidi. It's kind of hard to see with the white font on his white skin. She does some vocals, I think on the first track at least, which is a highlight, Sunshine and Thoughts. Yeah, as far as other highlights on here, Meditations of Starlight Bliss. It's kind of like a instrumental phasey guitar, kind of very cosmic guitar sounding stereophonic instrumental. It's really good. Then side 2 opens up with a couple more of my favorite tracks. Dawn Descent on Euretia, which I think might be my favorite on here. A little bit like Justin O'Brien and Jake a little bit. It kind of brushes on some of those sounds with the sort of sweeping, kind of airy synthesizers happening. Probably that ARP synthesizer. Interesting vocal delays, kind of croony. And then Alone Together, again, kind of more of that kind of mellower folk rock sound they're going for. A track called Miami Bitch, which kind of rocks out a little bit in spots. And again, that very warm, saturated 70s guitar sound really works on this one. It's not super slick. It still has that kind of underground, kind of cosmic appeal, which I think a lot of reasons why it lands in the book is a lot of the guitar leads on here. And then the last track is noticeable, WASS Columbus. It's like a radio mock-up kind of thing where it's like breaking news. One of them I remember is like, breaking news, milk causes breast cancer. It's that kind of thing. It hasn't aged all that well either. I think there's some low-key misogynistic things happening in the on some of the spoken word kind of sections, but Dave, where are you, man? Yeah, it's on a private label, Synthos Records out of Columbus, Ohio. So, it used to be up on YouTube. I think Matt uploaded the whole thing, but then I think I remember someone under the name Dave Bryan came about and wanted it taken down. You know, it very much could be the artist himself, so I'm not going to give him too much attention, and I'm probably not going to give you a sound sample, even though I have in the past. It's actually on one of my psychedelic trips, but maybe I'll insert it somewhere. I'm over exaggerating or being paranoid or something. But it's just kind of a silly entry this time around. So I do recommend it. I think there are copies. I just checked on Discogs before recording this. People are really trying to sell this thing for $1,000 overseas. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I think the sales history, I think the most it sold for was like maybe $100, but that was probably Craig Moore or something. I don't know. But it should not go for that much. Let's get into the entry here. It's very short. And like I said, it's actually only featured in the original edition of the Acid Archives and not the second edition. So it's definitely nice to keep both prints. So here it says, David Bryan, Columbus, Ohio, synthesis 1978, no label, insert and poster, which I have. Gets the one rarity, and it says eclectic bag of tricks including psych moves, doomy rock, some synth, a few tracks with female vocals, great psyche sleeve with a landscape tinted crimson, which I do dig. It's kind of a nice crimson, kind of fall looking cover. I think there's like a barn in the background. It's very much in the shadows there, but try to get a little closer shot. Yeah, Dave Bryan, synthesis. Hopefully it'll be back up online sometime soon on YouTube if you guys want to hear it. And but I do thank Matt for making me become a little more aware of this record, and you know, you just never know what's out there. So take care, and hopefully I'll have another video for you over the weekend or sometime soon. I'm trying to push a few out before my birthday here coming up. And we shall see you down the road.
Lying low with flaming swords, the enemy in sight. Prepare a feast among the humble, hail victorious fight. Hail victorious fight! Hail victorious fight!